Hello and welcome back to This Week in Biotech by Biotech Blueprint. Today I'm covering biotech and pharma news from October 31st to November 6th, 2025, and it is edition number 77 on Substack. So this week in biotech was definitely marked by a lot of Q3 reportings, and again, this continued battle between Pfizer and Novo Nordisk over Metsera. And so I thought I could start with that again. So Pfizer's legal battle to block Metsera from walking away from its merger failed this week at a Delaware court, clearing the runway for Novo Nordisk and their $10 billion takeover. Actually, just a few minutes ago, there was an update that Pfizer matched the $10 billion offer and Novo Nordisk went up. Pfizer had argued that Novo's bid was a stall tactic to prevent its GLP-1 dominance, but the judge wasn't buying it. Metsera's board once again called Novo Nordisk's offer superior, triggering yet another short match window for Pfizer before a shareholder vote on November 13th. So meanwhile, the FTC warned that Novo's current deal structure could violate pre-merger filing rules, but this happened kind of earlier in the week, and I don't think that it's that big of a threat anymore. Novo actually said that they are compliant and everything is going according to plan. The court ruling, though, marks a major setback for Pfizer, which has spent this year trying to buy its way into the obesity boom after its own oral GLP-1 flopped. Metsera stock went a bit down after the FTC concerns were brought up, but it's back nearly 30% this week. Next, the White House announced a sweeping deal with Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to make GLP-1 drugs available under Medicare and Medicaid, and the new Trump Rx platform at a fraction of current prices. Starting in early 2026, injectables like Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro, and Zepbound will cost $245 a month, which is significantly lower than the current $1,000 to $1,350 a month. Oral GLP-1s, including Wegovy Oral, will start at $149. For Medicare patients, it means just a $50 copay. Lilly and Novo also agreed to massive U.S. manufacturing expansions, $27 billion and $10 billion respectively. This move not only opens up obesity coverage to millions of Americans, but also effectively resets the pricing floor for the entire category. As I said, companies have been reporting their Q3 earnings in the past week, and one of those is also Moderna. I just thought I could update on Moderna since I did the most recent 2 deep dives really on the company. So Moderna pulled in $1 billion in revenue, nearly all of it from COVID shots, which definitely is a concern for a company, in my opinion, because the interest in COVID shots is dwindling, and they are not really bringing in enough revenue for the RSV shot, only $2 million. Moderna slashed its 2025 operating costs by $700 million, narrowed revenue guidance to $1.6 to $2 billion, and cut several early-stage programs to focus on flu, oncology, and rare diseases. The much-hyped CMV vaccine that I discussed in the last deep dive is pretty much dead. But the flu-COVID combo and the cancer vaccines with Merck remain on track. Next, on Thursday, the FDA greenlit Johnson & Johnson's Caplyta as an add-on therapy for major depressive disorder. In 2 late-stage trials, patients on Caplyta plus an antidepressant saw meaningful improvements by week 2, with a large effect size around 0.6. and a side effect profile almost indistinguishable from placebo. So basically, people saw that if they took antidepressants with this drug, they did much better than just on antidepressants alone. After 6 months, 65% of patients achieved remission, and J&J says the drug requires no dose titration, just 1 pill once a day. On the flip side, Biohaven got crushed this week. The stock is down around 40% after the FDA rejected its rare disease drug, Viglixia, for spinocerebellar ataxia. The agency cited bias and design limitations in the company's external control studies, which is definitely concerning, even though Viglixia appeared to slow disease progression by over 50%. The company's CEO accused the FDA of ignoring real-world evidence and failing patients with ultra-rare diseases. Analysts of, for example, the Bank of America downgraded the stock, calling the program dead without new data. Biohaven is now cutting R&D by 60% to refocus on nephropathy epilepsy and obesity. And it's definitely concerning for the company because now new clinical trials that are extremely expensive are required, and so that might be the end of this drug. So a week after crashing on failed confirmatory data for its exon-skipping drugs, Sarepta staged a rebound up to 18% after Mizuho upgraded it to outperform. And the catalyst for this decision was $132 million in Elevidys gene therapy sales in Q3, blowing much past expectations. I think the expectation was 50 to 100 million US dollars. Analysts pointed to strong insurer coverage, improved safety management with prophylactic sirolimus, so basically depressing the immune system of the patients, and robust next-gen RNA pipeline as a reason for optimism. So despite the failed primary endpoint, Sarepta's exon-skipping therapies are not immediately affected, and any label or status changes will hinge on future FDA reviews. And lastly, Viking Therapeutics presented new phase 2 data on its dual GLP-1 GIP agonist VK2735, showing dramatic improvements in prediabetes and metabolic syndrome markers. After 13 weeks, 78% of pre-diabetic patients returned to normal glycemia, and nearly 70% of those with metabolic syndrome no longer met diagnostic criteria. That's on top of nearly 15% average weight loss. So I think this is very exciting for the company because the company now has injectable and orals advancing, and it's really positioning itself as the third player in obesity, trailing Novo and Lilly, but having sort of clearer data and emerging metabolic reversal narrative. And this is all for this week. Thank you so much for listening and for tuning in as always. And I'll be back next week with more news for biotech and pharma.